Hope you're all happy to be here. Okay, so before we start, I want to ask you all a question. So let me just share my screen and I'll share a number with you. I want you to put it in the chat. What do you think, and your guesses, what do you think that number might be? Okay, so I'll just share the screen. Yeah, here we go. You can put it in the chat and you all can see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. Is my voice well clear? Okay. The number, can somebody read the number for me? It's like, and your guesses what the number might be. Okay, 1040. All right. 1000. 1440. You can put it in the chat what what do you think the number might be? So, oh yeah, it's definitely an important number. So, okay, the number, I'll give you a clue. Okay, let's go to the verse. Let's turn to a verse. You can get this an idea, maybe a clue idea from the verse. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15 to 17. So it says, pay careful attention, then days of evil, not exactly, but kind of close. Pay careful attention then to how you walk, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of the time because the days are evil. So don't be foolish, but understand what Lord's will is. No, I thought there will be at least one mathematician here, maybe. And I'm definitely not good in maths, but I just found this number in the net. That's it. That doesn't mean you should check in the net. Just guess it. Guesses. Okay, so I think there are no guesses. So I'll say this is the minutes, 1440 minutes you have in a day. Okay, so the first two verses, it says, how to walk, not as unwise people, but as wise. So that means there is a majority of people who are walking as unwise people. We can categorize them definitely as the people of the world. So here it's saying, but as wise. So that means we need to have the wisdom, not of the world. We need to walk as wise, but the heavenly wisdom, that is wisdom of Christ. And verse 16, it says, making the most of the time because the days are evil. Another translation says, another Bible translation, it says, making use of every opportunity. I believe one of you might be having the translation. It says, making the use of every opportunity. And here, this is the CSB translation that says, making the most of the time. Now, as I put this number over here, it says the time limit that we have each day, right? And only God knows your time limit here on earth. God knows our time limit. Nobody else knows it. So that's why Paul is encouraging us, he's advising us in this verse to make the most of the time that God has given to us. The time is a gift of God. Okay, and it is one, we can also consider time as one of the resource that God has given you to use. So, and verse 17 it says, don't be foolish, but understand what is the Lord's will. Now, how do you know what is Lord's will? What was God's will? So that it is, just in God's will. In the previous verse, it's saying, we need to walk as unwise people. Sorry, walk as wise people. Sorry for misquoting the verse. Yes, walk as wise people. Now, how do you walk as wise people? What example can we go through in the Bible itself? It says in another reference, Matthew chapter 24, verse, fear God. Yeah. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 25. So, could somebody read it from the screen or from the Bible?
So I was afraid and went off and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. His master replied to him, you evil, lazy servant, if you knew that I reap where I haven't sown and gather where I haven't scattered.
Okay. So here, what did the master call the servant? And yeah, what does the master call his servant? I'm waiting for reply actually, not for
Evil
chat.
and lazy.
Yeah, evil and lazy servant. So lazy here, we know, we can understand that, we know that lazy is opposite of diligence. Now, why was he lazy? He told the reason on verse 25. He was saying that I was afraid. Now, why was the servant afraid? For what he was afraid? He was afraid. If you read clearly the verses, he was afraid of the master. He had a wrong concept of how his master is. So he had that fear of how the master would treat him. So this is what happens to us, most of us, the best of us. We become afraid. We have fear in us, unnecessary fears. It gets developed in us because because of this unnecessary fear. See, this unnecessary fear. What happens? What happens when we have this unnecessary fear is it made the servant to procrastinate. You all, I believe you all might be familiar with this word, procrastination. This is the verb, procrastination. The lazy servant, he procrastinated because he had unnecessary fear about his master. Let me read this quote to you, which I have found online. We generate fears while we do nothing. We overcome these fears by taking action. So we need to take action to finish the task. Now, diligent people, we are talking about diligence, are always active and work oriented to achieve their goals. Let me just share that while I was thinking, what do I share with you all, what do I talk to you all? That time, I was reminded about what God was speaking to me these days. I was trying how I should work on being diligent. And so that's what I wanted to share with you all today. I thought of sharing with you all this. And when I looked into it, I have got these quotes, God enabled me to talk to you. So keep in mind, we are all working, a work in progress. That doesn't mean that I am diligent. We are all work in progress to become hardworking. God wants us to be diligent. Now, See, God is telling us to be, God wants us to be diligent. Now, in the Bible, God gives us examples about animals, more specifically insects. God appreciates this insect and he testifies about this insect himself in Proverbs 6, verse 6 to 11. Go to the ant, you slacker, observe its ways and become wise, without leader, administrator, or ruler. I like you to volunteer, someone to volunteer to read 8 and 9. Anybody?
It prepares its provisions in summer and gathers its flock of food during harvest. How long will you stay in bed, you slacker? When will you get up from your bed? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the arms to rest, and your poverty will come like a band. Robber, you'll need like a bandit.
Okay. So this verse, God is telling us to look at the ant, observe what the ant does, and be wise just like an ant. And like some of us, we depend on our parents or maybe our teacher to tell us what we need to do. But the ant does not have a leader or to guide it what it needs to do. The ant prepares foods for himself in the summer, and you can see in verse 10. This is the best of us say this excuse. I'll just get a little sleep, just a little time. I'll just rest. I'm a little tired. My head is aching. I'll just take rest for a while. So what happens when we procrastinate or we slack on the work that the task that is given to us? In verse 11, it's is a warning. You become like poor, and you might end up doing wrong things, like a robber. You might end up begging or robbing things for your own survival. Now, just imagine what is the task that God has given to you. What is the task that you have ahead in your life? Now, most of us, maybe your parents would not let you to in the kitchens or to do anything else, but to just sit and study. They'll be telling, poi padikira. That is the one main thing that they want you to focus on. So that is, I want you to imagine, studies, education is a resource that God has given you to use. At the end, you can say, someone actually shared this in a message, and I never thought of it that way. That education is like a loan that God has given you, and how you use it, that is left to you. The wisdom God gives you, His wisdom in His Word. God will guide you, but you just have to use the resource wise. Now, I want to share a story also with you, which is very familiar. You might have heard this story, but you can just see this story through song. I'll just share it. Just give me a minute.
In the summer, the ants were working, bringing food to their hill every day, while the grasshopper sang in the sunshine. On his fiddle, his song he did play. Fi-dee-da-dee-da-doo-da-dee-da-do, fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. I will sing all the while neath the sunshine. Neath the moon I will dance, I will play. In the autumn the ants were still working, but the grasshopper still did not care. The ants asked, why don't you store food for winter? When it's cold, you'll have no food to spare. Fi-dee-da-dee-da-doo-da-dee-da-do. Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. Above us all there will always be sunshine, and there always will be time to play. Time went by and along came the winter, and the wind gave a cold icy chill. Snow fell down and there was no more sunshine, so the grasshopper went up the hill. Fi-dee-di-dee-da-doo-dee-dee-da-do. Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. I am cold, I am wet, I am hungry, and I'm sorry I played the days away. In the valley he went to the anthill. He was cold and embarrassed and sad, but the ants told him that he was welcome. Then he thanked them and felt really glad. Fi-dee-di-dee-da-doo-da-dee-da-do. Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. And the grasshopper said, in future seasons, work comes first, then I'll have time to play.
Okay, so that song, it says to, I'm sure you all enjoyed that song. It's like you're going back to your childhood. So in that song, it's the grasshopper is saying, I must work hard first, then I will have time to play. I forgot to say one point earlier where we were talking about unnecessary fear. You know, most of us have this fear of before we even start the task. It can be the fear of failure. It could also be, you know, fear of, oh, if I do it, I know that if I start the task, I'll do it perfectly. If I do it perfectly, then they'll give me more work. I don't want so much work. That is also one, you know, that is kind of a fear which I didn't, when I was going through the blogs and trying to get some points, that I didn't know that was also one point, you know. I only knew about the fear of failure, which I know the best of us have, at least the introverts like me. So coming back after the ant and grasshopper, in Proverbs 12 verse 24, it says, diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in forced labor. And Matthew 24 verse 46, it will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. So if we going back to verse 17, which we read, Ephesians 5 verse 17, what is the will of God? God wants us, the master, when he finds us doing his task, or at least when we finish the task. Now, you were speaking about procrastination. What is procrastination? Some quotes that I like to share with you here is, procrastination is the thief of time. I like to, and every day when we procrastinate, every day spent procrastinating is another day spent worrying about that thing. Do it now and move on with your life. When we procrastinate, that's when it actually builds up stress, anxiety. If you're worried about, oh, I have this task ahead of me. I had seen one meme some days back where the character wants to go to sleep. He has homework, but he wants to go to sleep, or he wants to watch TV. So his stress is, okay, He's stressed about the homework. But when he's watching TV, also he's still stressed about the homework. He's not fully enjoying and watching TV. So, and another quote here. And every morning you have two choices: continue to sleep with your dreams, or wake up and chase them. Sometimes the best of us, most of us, at least I was maybe that kind of person, where you keep dreaming and dreaming, you build up on your dreams in your thoughts and just sit over there, not act on it. Here, one thing I want to keep in mind, I just want to end over here with this point: strive to be more like Jesus. Jesus, he was hardworking. He was no excuses. He didn't have say excuses to God. He was a get it done type of a guy. He always stayed focused on his mission, and he didn't shy away from the work. I'd like to end with this word, that there is a verse that proves this, that Jesus was a hardworking type of person. In John 9 verse 4, can someone read that for me? God willing, on how to avoid procrastination. God willing, if there is, next time I will speak on that. John 9 verse 4. If anyone has got it, can read it. This is what Jesus had said. Yeah.
I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work.
Yeah. In nighttime is to sleep. Not in nighttime is the time for rest. God, even the days of creation, he used the seventh day was for rest completely. He finished all his work within the 6 days. So may God bless you all with these words. Thank you, Abigail, Pastor James Chaco, and family. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity.